Hi, Rosario. Thanks so much for coming. It's such a delight to meet you finally. I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about what you guys do at OTC.
Yeah, sure. So our core value proposition is really the elimination of trading counterparty and settlement risk. What that means, we basically have built a multi-custodial blockchain network where clients can hold assets at a custodian of their choice on our network. They can then tokenize, the custodian can tokenize those assets onto custodial blockchain ledgers. Once they have done that, those assets are then freely tradable with anybody else on the network with no counterparty or settlement risk. So we do all of the clearing and settlement in real time against those provable assets on those custodial ledgers.
There's been a little controversy over the last year or so about a lot of the exchanges, and I've had great issues earlier in the year trying to get speakers to come in from the exchanges to, try and make people feel more confident about, some of the weird stuff that was happening, but no one would come in. How do you feel about that? Obviously, it's like new industry, and we're having to get sort of a stronger foundation.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is we're catering towards the real institutional market, people that are fiduciaries that manage other people's money.
Okay.
They simply cannot trade off exchange the way that people do OTC block trades. They're interested in that liquidity. They're interested in liquidity that's on the exchanges.
Yeah.
But similarly, they don't want to hold accounts directly on exchanges and be subject to hacking risk and jurisdictional and other types of risks. So the solution that we've created essentially allows them to access that liquidity without having them as a counterparty and without having any assets up at those exchanges.
That's fabulous. Well, I wish I'd had you earlier in the year. So tell me, what do you see are the major concerns around scaling the blockchain?
Well, I mean, it's an ongoing, never-ending debate, and there's some really interesting solutions that people are bringing to market. I mean, we're one of the lead investors in Algorand, is an investor in OTCXN, and they have a quite interesting solution as far as public ledger systems go. Right. We take a very specific view. It's purely a capital markets, institutional capital markets trading point of view. So we don't believe really that any public ledger system will be suitable for handling the entire secondary market trading life cycle as is required by real institutional traders. And so we think really the only solution is to do what we've done, which is create sort of a layer 2, layer 3 network that allows you to do those transactions on chain with provability and all that good stuff, but use the public ledger systems as a final settlement layer. So we're not in that debate too much because we just don't see them getting there.
Because you're not relying totally on the blockchain. In other words, you've got other structures that will support any problems that the blockchain may have. Yeah,
well, it's basically private permission blockchain where everybody's co-located in an Equinix data center and at the kind of tolerances that people require for high frequency trading, but still with all the benefits of blockchain except the total decentralization that you have with a public ledger.
Great, fantastic. And so in the future, just generally, obviously you guys have worked out a great solution. Generally around the issues that people are hitting around the blockchain, do you see any sort of possible workarounds or solutions? I
mean, there are other layer 2 type solutions. There's projects like Lightning Network and Arwen. But there are really, when you think about it from a capital markets trading point of view, there are sort of fatal flaws with everything that we've looked at so far to date that would make them unsuitable, and they're very difficult to integrate into the whole trading life cycle that has to fit with the rest of the world. So I think where the speed ups that we're going to get in the future on public ledger, I think they will be quite significant, but I think it'll be more applicable to payments type use case where you don't have to deterministically have some number of milliseconds, that you can reliably get a transaction done.
And would you believe that the blockchain is going to fix everything? Because I remember when I had a blockchain panel in, I've been following it, excuse me, since 2008. But I had a panel at the end of 2016, and I think we had a joke about the blockchain was going to fix everything.
Yeah, there has been a lot of jokes about that, but I do think it is far-reaching. I mean, just simple things like identity, simple things like, or seemingly simple things like banking the unbanked. I mean, you look at the state of affairs. I mean, how do you trust, any government, any large institution? I mean, look at the thing that just happened in Mexico with the bank down there. I mean, it's there's definitely a place for it that's going to touch the lives of everybody, I would say, over the coming years.
Right. Well, I guess we'll see how it can develop as well. That's what's so interesting, to be part of the start of all of this. Thank you so much, and I think it's going to be a great panel.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us.